It's good to be here. I'm Mike Maddox, Region 8, Civil and Human Rights Liaison. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about this very important subject and the relationship between the UAW and Dr. Martin Luther King. In researching Dr. King and Walter Reuther's relationship, I just want to start off by saying that both had similar struggles with civil rights and trying to fight for civil rights. Some of the earliest that I could find for Dr. King, for Walter Reuther, was a swimming pool that is currently in where Wayne State University is now, where Walter Reuther was a student. At that swimming pool, blacks weren't allowed to swim, and he actually organized a protest there to try to get the African Americans the right to swim at that pool. That was one of the earliest things. So now here we go. Now, one of the earlier documents here that I was able to find at the Walter Reuther Library, it's written from Walter Reuther to Dr. King, and it basically says, "It was most gracious of you to favor me with an autographed copy of your book, Stride for Freedom. It's a great privilege to be associated with you in your struggle to advance the cause of human freedom and dignity and do the practical job in the venues of American democracy so that America's noble promises will be matched by practical performance. The courage, devotion, and dedication which you have given this cause is a source of inspiration for all those who joined with you. My warmest and best wishes and many thanks for this book, sincerely." And like I said, this was written from Walter Reuther. And that's another important thing, too, that I just want to touch on. And I was able to go and visit the Walter Reuther Library in Detroit. And it's just a treasure trove of documents like this one that I was able to see, as well as all the other documents that's important to the UAW as far as civil rights, charters for different locals, stories from different locals, strikes, pictures of strikes. So if you get a chance to visit the Walter Reuther Library in Detroit, definitely should do that. Now, this is pictures that you see here are from the UAW 25th anniversary dinner that was held in Detroit that Dr. King was a part of and attended. Dr. King attended the celebration, delivered a speech, and his remarks highlighted the strong alliance between labor and civil rights movements. Now, this is another letter that was written from Dr. King to Walter Reuther, and it says, "This is just a note to again express my appreciation for you making a recent visit to Detroit a meaningful one. I will long remember the warm reception that I received at the 25th anniversary of the UAW. Please know that you have my continued support in the great work that you are doing for the working man and indeed for all humanity. With warm wishes and best regards, Martin." So this is a letter he wrote right after the 20th anniversary UAW speech that he did. Now, another important alliance, the Walk to Freedom in Detroit, that was June 23rd, 1963. Walter Reuther and Dr. King led the Walk to Freedom in Detroit. It was a big event at the time. It was the biggest protest in America, and it drew 125,000 to 250,000 participants. And it was one of the largest, if not the largest, civil rights marches of its time. And actually, it was a practice run for the March on Washington, which came a little later, and we're going to get into that also. But the Walk to Freedom in Detroit was very important. It brought out all the leaders of the Detroit area and labor, and it was a big march. And like I said, it was a warm-up for the March on Washington. Again, there's more pictures from the Walk to Freedom in Detroit. And the lessons that they learned from this event helped shape the strategy and organization for the messaging of the 1963 March on Washington. And there's another picture from the Detroit March. As you can see, Dr. King and Walter Reuther there in that photo. Now, here are labor leaders from the March on Washington on August 28th, 1963. There's Walter Reuther, Dr. King, A. Philip Randolph, and other leaders gathered at the Lincoln Memorial. Together, they played key roles in the historic March on Washington and the Jobs for Freedom. A. Philip Randolph is mentioned in there, and one of the constituency groups that the Civil Rights Department works with is the A. Philip Randolph Institute, and it's named after him. And A. Philip Randolph was heavily involved in the March on Washington and also made a speech there, but he was getting older in the civil rights movement, and he pretty much passed the baton to Dr. King at that march because he was older. And if you haven't seen a movie, it was on HBO. It was produced by HBO called 10,000 Men Named George. And it's about A. Philip Randolph, and he was the president of the sleeping car porters. And you could probably find that movie on your local stream, on any streaming service. It's called 10,000 Men Named George. It's by A. Philip Randolph. Here's more pictures of the March on Washington. You can see Walter Reuther here, Dr. King, along with John Lewis. On the first picture, in the middle picture, you see Walter Reuther along with Dr. King. And the thing about, and if you can see in the middle picture, there's a gentleman with a white hat and a white hat in the foreground and the background. And those white hats said UAW on it. The UAW sponsored a lot of the activities up there, helped the marchers up there financially, as well as support, sent buses of UAW workers up, and it was a big success. And this is Walter Reuther's letter to Dr. King, dated March 20th, 1965. And it reads, the following is a text telegram sent by Walter Reuther, president of the UAW, to Dr. King, where he's thanking him for the invitation to join him for the historic march in Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. He regrets other responsibilities for the commitment may prevent his personal participation, but the UAW is organizing a delegation from all parts of the country to join the march. The UAW will be working with staff to help provide food, transportation, and other needs essential to meet the requirements of the march. Every American who loves freedom and justice, who believes in dignity of man, shares a view that every citizen has the right to register to vote and enjoy the blessing of full citizenship. Will be with you in spirit as you lead this historic march to freedom. With all good wishes, Walter Reuther. And this is advancing to the Selma, Alabama march. There were actually 3 different marches, and this particular march, Walter Reuther wasn't able to make this one, but he sent a telegram to Dr. King notifying him that he wouldn't attend that one, but he did send buses and food and transportation from the UAW to help support that cause. And like I said, it was 3 different marches, and this one Walter Reuther didn't make, but he was able to attend the other 2. Now, this is a letter from Martin Luther King's office to Walter Reuther, where he's enclosing a copy of his book and his speeches and just thanking him for everything and telling him that he has a large amount of the books and that's available if Walter Reuther would need any of the books for the members. And that is dated May 5th, 1967. This is Dr. King and Walter Reuther in a moment highlighting their close partnership and a shared commitment for civil rights and economic justice. This is a photo of Dr. King and President Lyndon Johnson in the White House. And that was a big issue at that time. And this was later in Dr. King's life when he was opposing the Vietnam War. And he and the president did not see eye to eye on that. And that's Dr. King meeting with President Johnson at the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. And when he was assassinated, you know, he was a big part of labor. And actually, it was at a sanitation workers protest that he was shot and killed. At that march, he was shot and killed. So there were a lot of riots in a lot of the major cities, including Memphis, Detroit, Atlanta, Los Angeles, most of the major cities. It was a sad time in America. We lost a powerful leader. And these are some pictures from that time. And this is the family, King's family. And down below is the Lorraine Motel where he was assassinated. And if you go to Memphis right now, the museum is there now. And it's a really good museum, and it's actually preserved exactly the way it was in 1968 when Dr. King was assassinated. Down to the cars in the parking lot. The hotel room is actually the same as they basically put a glass up and you're able to walk through and look, and the hotel room and everything is set up just the way it was in 1968. So if you're ever in Memphis, Tennessee, the King Museum Memorial is definitely something you want to visit. Also on this slide, there's our president, Owen Bieber, spoke at the 20th anniversary commemorating Dr. King's death and his legacy. And on this last slide, there's also my information. Like I said, I'm the Region 8 Civil and Human Rights Representative. My email is mmaddox@uaw.net, and my phone number is 407-230-5309.